Excellent. Okay, so let's talk about this. And I've got to see what the best way is to share this over Zoom. I'll bet I can do. Okay, sweet. So we're going to talk about this TaMPER framework for developing AI prompts to accomplish some sort of task. That's the first step in all this. Ideally, the end goal is that we want all of you to fill this out for some sort of task because this helps the University of Idaho have stuff in their database and use it for presentations and stuff like that. So, if you're willing to, after this meeting, to go through and fill it out for a specific task, that'd be super helpful. We're going to do it together. I'm not going to write stuff down for the sake of time, but we're going to talk through maybe some things that we would write down and maybe just shorthand some stuff. This TaMPER framework has the 5 steps: task, model, prompt, evaluation, and report. And they're all fueled by this first step, the task. And this is the thing that the developer of the TaMPER framework is big on. What is your task? What is it that you want AI to do? Um, so Eliani, is it okay if we use the one that you messaged me about? Because that's the one I've had on my mind for like 6 months now. Okay, do you want to just describe briefly what that was?
Yeah, I think it would be awesome if AI helped us with budget justifications, specifically because we have a budget template and then a budget justification. And we'll write everything up in the budget justification and everything looks good, but then numbers will change over on the budget sheet. And it would be awesome if it just automatically changed on the budget justification write up. Um, so I specifically wanted to be able to like read something from the budget and put it into the budget justification in the spot that I need it to.
That's awesome. This is one that I thought, we've talked a lot about data science tasks versus AI tasks. This is one that I thought was a data science task because we're pulling one number into the document. I was like, surely it can be done. It can't. This is something that we really do need AI to help us with. So this would be our task. We want the specific thing for AI to do. We want it to look at the budget spreadsheet, look at our budget justification Word document, and update numbers from that Word document. That's super specific. This is great. That's the exact thing. A not specific task would be, I need help writing a budget justification. Like that's where it gets a little bit too general. It's like, oh wait, we need to really hone it down. Okay, what do we need it to look like? This is awesome. We need it to look like a budget justification Word document. It needs to focus on numbers and making sure that they match the actual budget. This is a really interesting question next. Is this too big? Is this going to confuse AI if we give it to it? Um, in this one, um, I don't think it is. I think this is one well-defined task, um, and I think this is going to work really well for us. Something that might fit into this category is like um, I need a I'm not even going to go into that because I think I'm going to be wrong there too. But if you can imagine that you had something that was too general, this will help you filter it down. You can say, yeah, this is one step.
Wait, I was thinking through this earlier when I was going through this, and I was like, I bet if I asked it to write an entire budget justification with with the justification and the numbers and filling in who the PI is, would
Hmm,
that be too big or too complex?
I see. So breaking it down by section might work better. Like do the personnel section,
Right,
or
or like I think that copying the numbers over is one task, but if I would have said, I want you to build the template, and then I want you to copy in the numbers, and
Mm,
then I want you to write why we need to justify it that way, then that would have been too big of a task.
I love that. I agree with you on that then. Yes, absolutely. Um, so maybe let's focus on just those numbers then, just pulling in the numbers for this task. Otherwise, we would say yes. Perfect. Thank you for that clarification. So the second step is this model, choosing what model you're going to use. This one, we don't have to worry about too much, but there are a couple of things that we need to consider. One, do we have sensitive information that we are looking at? Um, Sensitive information is things that are like literally protected by law or things that we would not want to have shared out in the open for some reason. Um, and that may depend on the budget. And that may be some further. Yeah, what do you think, Katie?
No, I totally agree with you. Just for people who may like for the confidential budgets part, in general, most of our budgets I don't feel like are confidential, but we get when we get into expenditures, specifically benefit information is confidential because it's under HIPAA. So that's the one that I had to think through when I was going through my task of like, okay, is this confidential? It doesn't show any names, but it's benefit information. Just like be super aware. And I saw Carrie unmuted too, so I will
I
lower my hand.
did. So it would only be HIPAA protected if it could be identified what are the health benefits. So if you're going to combine it down into a lump sum, then it's probably okay. If it's identifiable what's health benefits and what's not, then I think you'd be okay.
Great. That's sort of what I've heard the general consensus to be as well. So I think that we'd be okay in this kind of case. Some context to this is basically for us, the two models that we're going to choose from are a chat GPT model, basically a public model that's out there on the web, or coming soon to SUU is SUU's own GPT model that we're going to have on campus in the ELC that nobody else can access but us. So we've gotten approval to purchase the equipment to host all that. Um, General practice, we still don't want to send really sensitive information to those models just out of practice. And it's an evolving field, so policies could change and things like that. But it gives us a lot more security in a case like this, where if we're on the fence of like, I don't know, we'd say we're going to use our university approved private model. In this case, I'm going to say that we're fine to use a standard model. Is it ready for AI? Are we going to be using a huge, long document? No. Are we going to be using a PDF? Probably not. I would guess it's an Excel document. And AI is really good at reading Excel documents, except it cannot do math. It it pretends like it can do math, but it cannot actually do math. And so if we were going to have like totals for years or like overall totals, we'd want to have those in specific cells rather than trusting AI to calculate that for us. Um, it really does believe that 2 + 2 = 5 if you convince it of that. And you could do it in like 3 chat messages. So it's really bad at math.
Nathan, do you feel like that's something that they should add to this worksheet?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Good thought. Yes. Let me pass that on. Okay. And then here's the meat of the matter, crafting our prompt. So all that preliminary work just gets us set up, make sure that we don't get frustrated later on. And here's some cool ways to help develop a prompt. So you've got different sections to it here. So you could tell it who do you want it to um, act like in a professional sense. You know, an accountant making a budget justification. You have to think about like how prevalent is the field. Like my mind first goes to like a research administrator building a budget justification, right? How much information is on the web about research administrators building ju budget justification? So you might want to generalize it just a little bit more. An accountant justifying a budget for a grant proposal or something like that. Um, some people really like this role um, section added into their prompts. They've added it in on this document. I'll actually be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of telling AI to act as a role, but it can be helpful in some situations. Tell it what it's working with. Tell it exactly what it's looking at. It may not know what a grant budget is based on the context. So just a simple statement like you are working with a budget for an NSF proposal for this. That gives a huge amount of context in just one sentence. This scientifically has been proven to be the most effective statement used in AI prompts. Your task is to. If you use this word task, you get like 20% better results. Nobody knows why. But using this word task is the language that AI speaks. So your task is to, and then tell it what you want it to do. You can tell it what you do not want it to do. And this comes a little bit from experience where if you're like running through if you're running through things um, over and over again, you're noticing like, no, it keeps doing this. Then you might start adding, they call these negative prompts. So like things that you do not want it to do, things that you want it to avoid at all cost. One way to word something like this is say it's trying to do math, say it's trying to add things up instead of grabbing things from cells. One of the things that we're going to tell it to do is do not try to add cells together to come up with the result.
Random to no.
Yep, sorry. Yep, no problem. Um, to come up with results. Um, if you are trying to do math, you have done the task wrong. This phrase right here really makes it avoid whatever you told it not to do. And then if you want to give it a format, say, something like, I'd like this in a Word document, or I want this, you can just output it in the chat or whatever. This is more important for if you're like outputting things as a table. And then you'd really want to specify, like if you were having it do a pre-award checklist, you might say in the first column, I want like the item description or the item name, and then in the next column, I want the description with all like the delineated requirements for that section, sort of a thing. Um, After you get your result, how are you going to know whether or not you got a good answer or a bad answer? Um, you evaluate it. The first thing you want to say is, how bad is it if AI gets this thing wrong? In our case, it's not budget review here. If AI makes a mistake on us here and we submit a budget justification that does not match the budget, our proposal may get drop kicked out the door. We have to have accurate numbers in these things. So there is high risk with this task. We really, really want to make sure that it did it right. So how are we going to check it? Are we going to do an accuracy check? Are we going to go back and make sure that everything matched 100%? Are we going to make sure that it's only pulling, are we going to allow it only to pull things from the source document and not grab things from the internet? Are we going to run this like 100 times and see how many times it gets it 100% right and how many times it doesn't? Different things like that that we can use to evaluate AI. This one is the most effective. It's also the most time consuming. And if we were going to have something that we did as like a standardized process, if we were going to make it, say, a standardized process that AI is going to build our budget justifications from a budget, we would probably do, and I'm not joking, hundreds of thousands of runs on the AI before we even let it touch a real live budget to see what its accuracy score is. Um, and we'd have an acceptable threshold that we would hold it to.
I
So
have a
you could,
question with that.
yes,
So you say if you scroll back up to those boxes, you're like, which components will you assess? And then there's these 4 ones. And then the next question is like, if you didn't click one, why not? Why would I not click one though? Wouldn't I want to do all of those tests?
could be. Um, I have an example in my like I have a general example for that, but I wish I could put something specific so somebody has something put it in. There may be like things that you would assign to another coworker or something like that, that you're not going to double check their work. Um, they may not get it 100% right, so it's got to be something that's low risk. Like, you might tell them, could you like send an email and just like see if this person's available for that? You're probably not going to read through their email and make sure that they got it, they were wording everything right. Um, there are some cases for low risk where we may not do any real evaluation on stuff. Um, but when we're thinking about research administration and some of these important things, most of the things that we're going to be doing are important. And so I'd say with most of our tasks, we're going to assess it, we're going to check it. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, that did make sense. Thank you.
Okay.
And I had a similar question when I was filling this out for my prompt. So what I was doing is here are a list of expenses, review these for any unallowable costs was like kind of the general idea. But for the faithfulness one, I had a hard time like thinking through that fully of like the output is grounded only in the source document of like, I mean, it is because I'm giving it the source, but like for the faithfulness, am I just making sure that it's not like adding in any expenses that weren't there before? Is that something I need to assess?
That is a great question. And you can think of these as optional things to assess. I may not assess faithfulness on everything. In fact, on those expenditures, I probably don't want the output grounded in only the source document. I want it to have knowledge about NSF, expenditure policies and things like that so that it can catch things. So I'm probably not going to evaluate it based off of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that does. Thank you.
Um, so you just write down your evaluation plan. Um, I'm gonna check all the numbers and the budget justification with the budget to make sure everything lined up. Could be simple as that. This is the last part of it. It's just taking all those steps, those 5 steps, and just putting them all on one page so that somebody could see it and get a snapshot view of it. Um, it's a lot of work. Going through something like this probably takes 30 to 45 minutes for a particular task. I'm probably not going to do it, when I'm generating an image to put on the wall of our offices or something like that. But if it's something that's going to be more long term, a little bit more important, um, going through something like this can really help you flesh out your idea and get the best result possible. Um, interesting note, after going something through something like this, you can give all of this to an AI model and say, developed an ultimate prompt that will get me what I want based off of all this information. And it will develop the prompt for you based off of all of that. So there's another step further that you can take where you can have AI write prompt and then do the work off that after you have gone through this legwork. Are there any questions on this TaMPER framework for creating prompts that we want to talk about for the next 4-ish minutes?
Can you scroll down for me?
Yes. Tell me where.
Just page 2. Keep going.
Page 2.
Right there.
Uh-huh.
So you, so what you've given us essentially is answer number 3. We would never answer yes.
Right. So question 3 here up at the top is sort of a start over question. If you answer yes, start over, break it down a little bit further till
Okay.
you get a task that's very linear.
Okay.
Great question. Any other questions?
I guess my question is, I have been working on it this morning, and I feel like my prompt is not giving me what I want, even though I'm following this framework. Do you have any recommendations? Should I keep the prompt? Should I give up and try something new?
I would go through this would honestly be my suggestion. I would complete it and then I would return it back to the University of Idaho people and I would say exactly what you told us. Um,
Okay.
because they may say, something like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we see, and that, our step-by-step process here didn't get us where we wanted to. I should have put this in," or something like that.
Okay.
Or they may say, "You're being too hard on yourself. That's a really good prompt," or something like that. But I would say let's complete that. So that because if they're going to present this at a national level, my guess is that you're not the only person that's going to have that experience.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, sounds good. I'll just keep doing it then.
Yes, Lawrence.
So when you've completed this, do you want us to do we send it to you to send to the University of Idaho? Or do you want us to send it to them?
You can
How
just
are we
send it
gonna
straight to
collect
me.
these? Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
You bet.
Okay, well, I'm gonna stop the recording.